3D Grinch in a Wreath acrylic nail art tutorial by Hotpinkzebrapolish.
Hi everybody, in today's video I have a Grinch wreath design, so it's very similar to this guy. It's got a little wreath around it and the Grinch face in the middle, so it's a little bit different than some of my other 3D Grinches that I've done in the past, and I do have another 3D Grinch coming up in a couple weeks. And if you guys are curious, I have a ton of past Grinch designs, and I will put links to all of them in the description box below because I do at least one a year, so there's a bunch of them. So please check those if you haven't seen them all, and I will see you in my next video. Bye! Bye!
I'm going to begin with an overlay of a shimmery white acrylic. So this one is just, it's got a little bit of glitter in the background. It's so subtle that you barely even see it in the video, but just something a little bit more interesting than a plain white background. Adds a little bit of glitz and glamour to a holiday design, I think. Apply that over the whole background. And this nail is very wide because I was making it into a ring. So it's a little bit, it's definitely wider than my own nails. And that just gives it a little bit more space to work on if you are doing something like a ring. And then I'm going to encase the nail with a layer of clear acrylic. Same thing, because this was intended to be made for a ring. You definitely want to make sure that it's very strong, it's very durable, because you don't want, a ring you're wearing for more than the 2 weeks or 4 weeks that you have your regular acrylics on. And so it gets maybe bumped around a little bit more than your nails would. Then file it into shape just like you would otherwise, and then with a medium green I'm going to sculpt the wreath around the edge of the nail. So this is really fun. You don't have to worry about making sure that, not like if you're applying an acrylic overlay, that the acrylic is very smooth or even or any of that. You can just put down little beads of that medium green acrylic and just sort of, spread it out. It doesn't have to look like anything at all in the end. Just as long as it creates a nice little border around the nail, you're golden. So just keep adding those little bits, and then as it begins to set, go through and here and there place little red rhinestones. And you want to let the acrylic set up for just a minute before you place the rhinestones, because if it's too wet, they're just going to slide. So the acrylic has to have a little bit of a body to it before you can place those in there. So as you can see, I didn't add any to that other end little bit of the green that was still a little too wet. So just kind of, test the waters and see where they're going to hold up. But then after you have that, you can go ahead and continue to place them in there. And the very top of the design does not need them because that's where the Grinch's hat will be. So you don't have to really worry about adding any of the rhinestones there because it won't be seen anyway. Add some more green acrylic around the base of each rhinestone to make sure that they are in there well and they're not going to fall out. Sometimes rhinestones, even if they don't fall out, especially gloss ones, if they're hit, possibly they might break. So you just want to make sure you have a little bit extra there to make sure they're not going to break. And then with a brighter, slightly more yellow shade of green, we're going to be sculpting Mr. Grinch. And so I started out with just a regular kind of a circle, and then you have to kind of push it in for, there you go, push it in for where his cheeks are, for the top of his cheeks. And then kind of bring it down into almost a heart shape for the base of his neck. As you can see, kind of have that very vague heart shape going on, which I think is, hopefully you can see that for where his cheeks are. So like below his nose, his cheeks kind of come up a little bit for the rounded part of the heart, and then it tapers down for the base of his neck. With the tip of your brush, carve in his smile. Add a little line for a split lip down the center of that area. At the very top of his shirt with red acrylic, he's inside the wreath, so you don't see very much of it, but you can see just a tad of the top of the shirt there. Kind of clean it up, try not to cover up the wreath at all. And then on the top, you're going to need to add his hat, and this does come up through the area of the wreath, just like so. So it looks like he's poking his head up through the wreath. And then I'm going to just keep adding little details here and there. Add another little bit of your green acrylic for his button nose. And once again, since this is going to be made into a ring, I am adding plenty of 3D stuff, but nothing that's built up too tall or too thin. You don't want anything to be too delicate, so keep that in mind. The same thing if you're going to have this on your nails, is that you want to make sure it's not too delicate. So this is a wearable design, and not all of my Christmas designs are. Not all of my designs in general are, but this one certainly would be. And then one thing I want to mention is after you have this, you're going to want to add all the details with acrylic paint. Outlines, his eyes, his smile, etc. In my genius, I actually did this design a year ago, and somehow a little bit of my footage was lost in translation, and I did not have all of the detail painting, and I do apologize. And so that's actually the same reason. I know that I mentioned that I have another Grinch design coming up, but it's the same thing. I don't know what happened. My footage got messed up. So that other video is also not going to be uploaded this year. I do have plenty of other Grinch videos though. So if you want to see any of my past Grinch designs, like I said, there are a lot of them, and I will put links to those into the description box below. Apply some gel sealer over the background, some nice matte top coat over Mr. Grinch, and that's all done. If you want to see how I make acrylic nails into rings, I do have a video for that, full thing, I promise. And I'll put a link to that one in the description box below. And don't forget to share any recreations with me on Facebook or Instagram. I would love to see them, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!